ya. Greetings. Oops. This is Teaching Tuesday. Teaching Tuesdays is my way of sharing with you some of the things that I do in my life. And to share with you, thank you so much for always being there and supporting me on my YouTube channel. Today, of course, is the third Oshun segment. Spring. That's why we're doing Oshun, because it's time for us to open up and to see that love and sweetness come sometime with darkness and upheavals. So we have to have both the positive and the negative, the open and the closed. So Oshun, the energy of Oshun. Who is Oshun again? Why Oshun? Oshun represents the Akala, which is the vulture or the buzzard. And because if you know that, if you ever noticed that if you ever took the time, or if you know anything about, no, I'm going in the stream. Not yet. You can cut that off for me. I love ya. This is Teaching Tuesday with Yeyefini.com, Balanced Living. Thank you again this is our third segment on Oshun. If you didn't see the other two, go back and see it, because this is just a little waterfall that we're going through, okay? So Oshun is, of course, the spring season and the time for us to refresh our bodies and detox. She represents the Akala, the Akala, which is, or is it the Akala, which is the vulture, the turkey buzzard. And if you ever have an opportunity to see how, when you see the buzzards flying around because they smell death, they can smell death just from miles away, because they're so sensitive. They're very spiritual birds, and they're sacred to Oshun, because she is the connection between the prayers that we send so that they will manifest to the heavens. And she's the one that sends her children, the Akala, the vulture, to take the ashe, or the inside of the animals. And so if you ever have an opportunity to look at the way that a vulture starts an animal, they don't just all attack. There's the senior bird that comes and gets it and prays it and knows that it's good and takes the ashe and takes it out. Then the other ones come, and then they always take the entrails first and then the eyes. Those are the sacred parts that we have within our own six beings, and with, of course, with when you're deceased or when you're passed on, your ashe or your essence is still vital for the balancing of life. And so when we are alive, that's why it's important for us to eat the correct fruits and vegetables and things that's going to nourish our systems, because that's the seed of our emotions, the seed of our share, the seed of all of the internal organs that support us, our beings, and support our head, which is our ori. And so Oshun also represents the mirror and the fan. You always have a fan when you're with Oshun. And so the fan represents Oshun always being cool, because you don't want water to get hot. Oshun is the water. You don't want it to get hot, because it's not really, and you know, hot water boils and it gets burned. So you always want to be keeping cool. As that's what my elders told me, that you use a fan with Oshun to keep yourself cool at all times, so that you don't ever get to the point where you have to fan yourself like that, so that your water will always be calm and sweet. And so today we're talking about Oshun in her ability to give us slow, methodical, sweetness, laid back, cool, introspection. That's the way that you watch life and you develop life, is when you have time to sit back and look at it. You can use your past mistakes and bringing them forward. That's what Oshun is saying. You don't want to keep making the same thing, the same mistakes. And so that you take your time, and that's how you develop food, and you develop practice, and you develop harmonizing with each other as human beings. And that's called civilization. You can work with others, and you have compassion, and you have love for each other. Those are the aspects that create societies and civilizations. And that's why Oshun is known for that. She represents the mirror so that you can have an opportunity to look deep into your inside, deep into who really what's going on. There's a ceremony that I perform periodically, maybe twice a year. Sometimes when I feel kind of like off centered, I and not feeling positive about myself, my physical self. Because sometimes when I travel, I eat a lot. That it's food that is not necessarily part of what it is I would. Because if you're rushing and you're eating, you might eat bread and all of that other stuff just to catch you on crackers. And when I feel off balance, and what I do is then I have the ceremony that I do that I just look at myself in the mirror for 15 minutes. Now that is deep. That is deep because you start looking at yourself physically. You start seeing all the things that you don't know, like you don't like, and then you start going in and you start seeing deeper inside as to what perhaps brings you to that point. So, we all have different things that we use. That's one of the things that I use. But today, what we're talking about is not about me. It's talking about Oshun. And so with Oshun, her mirror is for us to look and take the opportunity and the time and slow down and just look at ourselves and love ourselves for all that we are and the things that we've accomplished and the beauty that we have that is not based on someone else's judgment or opinion. Okay. So here is Oshun. We're going to use Oshun today. I am using my Meaningful Monday book. In this book, it has a lot of nice ceremonies and things, but it also has a whole lot of stuff that you can do for yourself. I'm going to use from page 64 in my Meaningful Monday book that you can get online. You can get on my website, Yeyefini.com. And in page 64, we're talking about an incense to clean yourself. You get some frankincense and myrrh, the rest is, and you put it on the charcoal. And when the charcoal is burning and it's red, you put the myrrh and the frankincense on it and let it just infuse all of it just burn. Then you're going to take it so it can infuse the house. You're going to start with the back room of your house. And you're going to start moving throughout each room. As you say, Psalms 149:9, the Lord is good to all and his tender mercies and over all his works. So you're praying a prayer for yourself. That God is good to all and its tender mercies are all over us. And you're going to go from room to room to room to room and you're going to walk in with that. And when you're finished with that, you're going to stand over it, straddle it, and just stand there and let that energy just infuse and clean you out. Just balance you. And what you're doing is you're burning off and creating a new space so that new things can come to your spirit, to your consciousness, to your mind, and to your house. And so what I do when I do this particular ceremony, of course, the first thing I do is turn off the smoke alarm, and then I open all the windows and the doors to let all of that air just flow through. Okay. Now, the foods for Oshun that you could use is to cook a red snapper. And you're going to take a red snapper, the fish, leave it whole, just scale it and take the insides out. And you're going to cook that with this red sauce. You're going to fry onions, tomatoes, garlic, salt, and you're going to make a nice little tomato sauce. And you can even use some puree tomatoes. And you're going to make that and you're going to cook that up. And while you're cooking it, you're expressing to Oshun all of the things that you want to make sure that you manifest, to know that the head of the fish cannot travel without the tail. And so you always want to be able to, that wherever your face and your life and your ori takes you, you want all of you to be able to follow it in the same direction. And you just talk to Oshun while you're cooking this. And then when you're finished cooking it and the red sauce is there and you're finished, you can bake the fish and then set it in a sauce, or you can cook it in the sauce. It's up to you. And then when you're finished with that, you're going to then arrange it in a platter, and you're going to put some lettuce and some watercress on it and some parsley around it, like you're making a little garden for her. And then you're going to sit that on there, and you can take some black eyed pea akara that they sell the powder now that you can get it and just fry it, or you can take the black eyed peas, soak it, grind it, and then fry the little balls and set 15 of them around her. Wonderful, wonderful presentation. It's also one that you could do for, I think it's the Odu is Odishe, that when you're having arguments with your family members, do that, and you can light two candles. And after that's done, then you gather your family together and you talk, you exchange things that y'all know that is just a little bit too icky to speak about. Once you do that ritual, and that's a ritual that you do to Yemonja or Oshun, where you do the fish, and then you sit down and you talk to your family members about, of course, taking responsibility yourself first, and then forgiveness, and then thanksgiving, and then you can speak. And it helps. It really, really helps, because I've done it. And then also you could take some roasted yam. If you don't have the one that akara, get some white yam and you roast it, and then you peel it and roast it. After it's roasted, then you put it around with palm oil. That is awesome for Oshun. Also, on another ritual is that you can take a mame. Here we get into the deep stuff. A mame, I don't have one today. You can look at it and Google it or go to a grocery store. A mame is a big fruit that is sacred to Oshun. It's brown. And you're going to cover it with efun, all over with efun, and you're praying to Oshun. You can do this in front of your Oshun, or if you don't have an altar for Oshun, again, set one up according to the way the instructions we gave you on how to set up a shrine for Oshun. And you're going to put that, cover it with efun. You're going to cut off the top, and then you're going to scoop out the seeds and everything in it. You're making a lamp that you're going to burn for Oshun. And you take all of that out, and then in it, you're going to add with that, you're going to put some efun, you're going to put some honey, and you're going to put palm oil. You're going to put a little cocoa butter. You're going to put some cascarilla or some efun, and you're going to put some oil in it. You can put it, you can use, I use any kind of vegetable oil. I use olive oil, or you could use grapeseed oil, and you can put that in there. But you put the oil in the base. Sorry, you put the oil in the base, and then you add the ingredients. And while you're talking, you're putting that in. Then you can make yourself a little wick. And a wick is, you're going to get cotton, and you just roll it and make the little tips like that. And you make 5 of them. And you're going to set that. And you're going to burn that in front of Oshun and ask her for abundance. For always thanking that you're here, and thank you for her fruit, and always praying for abundance, for compassion, for love, for sweetness to come into your life. Okay, so the story goes like this. The story is that Orumila was on his way to a party, and he met his friend. And his friend was, Orumila was walking, and his friend was on a horse. And Orumila says, hey, once you come on, you can come quicker with me if you go on a horse. And Orumila like, no, I don't really want to do that, because I got some, he had some stuff with him that he didn't want to get mashed up or whatever. And so he was like, no, that's okay. I'm going to go on, and I'll walk. He said, we're going to get there and the party will start. He said, that's okay. I'll get there, just in time for everything, I'm sure. And if not, then, I guess he said one monkey don't start the show. So anyway, so they went on, and then, they're going about their business, and Orumila probably chanting some verses or thinking about his ladies, or thinking about what he's going to speak on when he gets there. And so he's going on all along. And when he gets to the place, he's at the party, and he's like, where's my friend? He was supposed to be here. They said, oh, he had an accident, and he fell off his horse and injured himself. They're in the back, they're fixing him up. So Orumila was able to get there at the appropriate time when his time was to be there. So, sometimes we want to rush through situations and feel that it got to happen right now. Or if it doesn't happen the way I want it to happen, that something is against me, or is something bad. No, just go with the flow. Go with what your intuition says. If your intuition said, don't get on that horse, don't do that. If your intuition says it's okay, because sometimes people are carrying their own araye, their own stuff, and you get wound up in their stuff. Can you imagine if a woman had gotten on a horse, both of them would have broken their legs, and he would have been like, oh man, I should have listened to myself. So that's what happened in life. Sometimes when we're doing things and we're trying to rush, if you just sit still and just do your little meditation, it all comes together. And then you realize, wow, I'm so glad I listened to my higher self and I did not go. So I want you to really focus on knowing that Oshun, or the energy, the essence of sweet water, of all of the fresh waters and the water that it resides in us, our saliva, which is not salty, is Oshun's area. Is the area that she coats our throat before we speak. So we must be mindful of what we say and when we speak. We're all evolving. Who I was 20 years ago, 30 years ago is not who I am today. And I am not who I'm going to be 30 years from now. I'll be still alive. And so just remember, in moving through Oshun's period and Oshun's time, be mindful what we say, be mindful what we think about ourselves, look in the mirror, reflect on ourselves, and use our fans. Get a whole bunch of fans so you can stay cool like Oshun. Because she don't let nothing ruffle her feathers. She's like, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Don't forget, go to yeyefini.com for all of your information. Remember the scrub. Remember the baths. Remember all of the things that Oshun has taught me and I have learned through her. And that Obatala is so gracious and loving me enough to expose me to people who are loving and kind. And just thank you. And so as an elder, that's my intention this year is to share with you a lot of the things that I know. And, as an elder, that's what I'm going to be doing. So follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. I'm giving out a lot of rituals and ceremonies for us to be balanced and be happy and joyful in this period. And again, thank you. Thank you for the support over the years. Thank you for wait a minute, I have to do it like the people in the church. There you go. See you next Tuesday. Or double.